Today we're beginning Chapter 9. Chapter 9 is about rational expressions. A rational expression is simply an expression with a variable in the denominator. We're going to be looking at polynomials in the denominator. So those are rational expressions. And we're starting off pretty simple today. We're simplifying rational expressions. And to do that, all we're going to do is factor the numerator and the denominator. And then we're going to reduce or cancel any common factors. So here we have an example. Again, what we want to do is factor the numerator and the denominator. So factoring the numerator, we're going to look first of all to see what we have in common. There's a 5 in both terms and an x, so we'll factor out a 5x. So we have 5x. And when we factor that out, we're left with x plus 8. And we want to also factor the denominator. Again, there's 5 in common and a y. So we factor out the 5y, we're left with x plus 8. So we factored each and now we reduce. So we see that x plus 8 will cancel with x plus 8. And 5 cancels with 5, and we get x equals, or x over y. We get x over y. Next example, same idea, some larger terms here, but we're going to factor both the numerator and denominator. We see that we have a 126 a squared in both terms in the numerator. That leaves us with an a minus b. In the denominator, we see we have 84 in common, 84a, and that leaves us with an a plus b. So we see notice that 2 goes into both of these. So 2 goes into 126 63 times. 2 goes into 84 42 times. And now that we're getting to some lower numbers, we see that 7 is going to go into both of those. 7 goes into 63 9 times, and 7 goes into 42 6 times. And finally, we can reduce once more by 3. 3 goes into 9 3 times. 3 goes into 6 2 times. We now can look at the a's, and that will reduce to a. And we're left with, now that we clean that up a little bit, we have a 3a in the numerator, along with the a minus b. And then in the denominator, we have 2 times a plus b. We notice in the directions, it says leaves the answers in factored forms, so we'll leave it like that. We won't multiply back out. Another example, here in the numerator, we can start by factoring out an x squared. So we have x squared. We're left with x squared plus x minus 6. And in the denominator, we see we have an x in common, so we have x times x minus 2. We see we have a trinomial here, so we're going to try to factor that a little bit more. We have our x squared still on the outside, and it looks like this can factor. We have an x here and an x here, and we want to get factors of 6 that will subtract to give us 1, so thinking through that, we have a plus 3 and a minus 2. In the denominator, we still have our x times x minus 2. One of the x's reduces, so this x squared reduces with an x. This just becomes an x. X minus 2 reduces with x minus 2. And we're left with x times x plus 3. And 1 was in the denominator, so we just leave it as x times x plus 3. And that's how you simplify. You're going to factor. First we check if there's a common factor, and then sometimes there's cases where you can factor the trinomial, and we've done that in the past, so you factor those and then you cancel any common factors. And that's how you simplify rational expressions.